guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I am in front of the cacti, as you can see. I figured what I would do is turn this camera around. I'll give you a little bit of an overview of what I've got going on. Not a ton of growth because the cacti are slow growers, but I want to show you what's in my collection right now and give you guys just a little bit of care tips, like what I do that works for me. So I'm gonna say I live in New York, so I do get cold winters, and starting in fall it will chill down. So this is what I do to care for them. So this is what I've got going on in my little cacti and succulent window right now. I don't have names for some of them, but I will go ahead and just show you what I've got, what I know, what I do. I'm going to start right down here. Those two guys are Haworthia. Those are succulents that can do with less light, so they're pulled off to the side. That's a Moonshine Sansevieria pup. Fairy Castle cactus. In the back there, I don't know his official name. It's some kind of mammillaria that they call a snowcap. I think an Arizona snowcap. These two guys, the big ones, are my favorite. So that's my Amic Euphorbia. And I got him at Lowe's for $20, which I think is really good. And that's a Peruvian apple cactus. That one was on my wish list for a while, and I happened to go into Walmart one day on my lunch break, and they had two of them. And of course, I had to bring one home. And they actually had them potted two to a pot. So I have the better of the two in here, and then the other one is outside. Now back behind that, you can see I have some of the smaller ones, and I have them this way because if I put the larger ones in the back, the little guys wouldn't get sunlight. So it may be more of a pain to kind of get in there and look at them, but I did what was better for the plants. So that guy was a toothpick cactus, and I picked him up in the middle of a snowstorm, and he is vicious if you're not careful. That's a little devil's barrel or devil's tongue barrel cactus. And that little guy right there with the neat markings on him, the dark green and the light green, he's a Pelasgia chichipe. That one in the back there, that one didn't have a name on it. This is one that my husband got me for Valentine's Day 2 years ago. Like not this past one, the one in 2018. And it was one of those little live trend ones that comes in that pot where the rocks are glued down and it's got no drainage, and it drives me so crazy, but I carefully chipped the rocks away and got him out and got him into a pot with drainage, and he's a year and a half later doing really great. So directly in front of me, I have some of the more succulent type ones. This one here is a Stapelia, and this guy has been really hard for me, I'll be honest. He came as a full pot, and this terracotta kind of makes the camera glowy, but we're just going to go with it, hopefully. So he came as a full pot, and instantly half the pot turned yellow, and you can see this guy now is actually kind of not looking so great. I'll pull him out after. This part that's left, fingers crossed, is doing well, so maybe just part of it, maybe it got root rot, I don't know. It just went bad, and it went bad quick. So as soon as I noticed it going bad, I took the whole thing apart. I washed off the roots of all the pieces to kind of see what was salvageable, what wasn't, and that's what I'm left with. That is my string of pearls. That's the first plant I ever got. This is going to be so long ago. I'm trying to think. I think I got it back in 2017, in August of 2017. My mom was going on vacation, and she asked if there's anything that I wanted her to look for, and I had seen this on, I think maybe Pinterest or Instagram. Had just started doing it, and I saw the string of pearls everywhere, and I wanted one so bad, and I couldn't find it. So I told her, if you find one of those, that's what I want. And she found one. So I have that guy, and he has not been doing a ton of growing for me since I've moved him into this window. You can see he's gotten some. He used to be in the kitchen. Back there is a Gasteria, and I love the shape of him. He's really cool. And he's got a pup in the back. That one is a Kleinia, or a pickle plant is what they're commonly called. And I just recently took some cuttings of him and put him back in, you can see, because he got really tall and crooked, and I was afraid he was going to fall over and take other plants out with him. That one back there is the Mother of Thousands, and you can see that finally it's getting, I'm trying to get my hand in here without getting poked. It's got some babies on the edges of the leaves, and what they'll do is they'll drop off in the pot below, and new plants will form. So that's why I have this guy potted in one of those plants that's wider than it is tall. This guy, my domino cactus, I love this guy. Right now, no flowers, but this guy seriously put out about 6 flowers this spring, and it made me feel like a rock star. So this was a really great one. That back there is a Opuntia. It's, I think, angel wing cactus is what they call it. And I eventually will have to take some propagations because he's starting to look top heavy. So what you would do is just break off one of those sections. I always lay them on their sides for a few days just to let it harden up, and then I just poke it back in the soil. That one there, it came unlabeled. I looked it up. There's a few that it could be. I'm not positive, so I'm not going to give you a name because I don't know. That one is one of my favorites, the fuzzy one. So that is one of those old man cacti, and I call it Ethel. I know that's a girl's name, but Ethel was my grandmother, and she had white hair, well, my great-grandma. So every time that I see that, it just looks like her hair. And then back here, I've got 2 pots of lithops. That one there has been doing really well. That one's over a year old, so I'm doing okay with that guy. This one's a little bit newer, maybe 6 months, and it sounds so bad, but literally I water them maybe like twice, 2 or 3 times a year. Whenever they are splitting, which what they do is they split in the middle and a new set pops up and the old ones shrivel away, you don't water them at all because they will draw the water from the leaves that are shriveling up and dying off, and if you water it, you'll kill it. So I give it just a little bit a few other times a year. That one down in there is another type of Opuntia, which is a prickly pear. So that guy and that one there. And then over here we've got another guy. I don't know what this is. He's another one of those ones that came from Home Depot in a pot where it's like assorted cacti or assorted succulent. This one here is my zebra haworthia. And then I've got 2 aloes. Wow. Okay. Got 2 aloes up here. I think that was the blackthorn, and that was the Feryx, maybe. I will look them up and I'll put the names on the screen. But these I got from a local garden center. They seem to have a really cool selection of aloes every spring, so I go and pick them up. Okay, so now briefly about the care. I've just got the domino one here with me. That way if I need to show you anything, I can do it. For soil mixture, I use Miracle Grow because it's easily accessible around here. It's at Walmart, it's at Home Depot, at Lowe's. And I haven't had trouble with it. So I use 50% of their cactus and cactus citrus palm, which is the one that comes in the orange bag. And then I will cut that with 50% perlite. So it makes it light and airy. That way it'll drain off quick, because what they want to be watered thoroughly. So they want to water till the water comes out the bottom, but they don't want to sit in the wet soil. So that is the best way I've found to do that. And I will water in the summer, probably about once a week, maybe once every week and a half. I will actually be watering my cacti more often than my houseplants in the summer because the soil dries out quickly because of the mixture I make. Also because they're in terracotta, which helps to wick the moisture away. They're in a full sun window. These are all things you have to take into account when you figure out how often to water your plants. Also the size of the pot. The pots that are like the tiny little terracottas I have, those will dry out quicker than a larger potted plant. So that's all stuff to take into account. I also use a moisture meter for the ones that have the large pots. So like the Peruvian cactus and the Amic euphorbia, I will use a moisture meter because I can't really feel all the way to the bottom if I wanted to. So on my moisture meter, it goes by numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 being dry. I wait until it's completely dried out, and then I will water thoroughly, let it drain through. Something I started doing recently this year is I started topping the pots off with black aquarium gravel, and I did that just because it looks better. So when you're mixing the perlite in, perlite floats. So I would water the plant and the perlite would float up, it would stick around the inner rim of the pot, it would stick to the plant itself, and I would find myself dusting these guys off with a paintbrush more often than I wanted to. So I figured I'm gonna go ahead and see what happens. I can always dump it off if it doesn't work. So I went ahead and just put a thin layer of the gravel on top, and as long as you water slowly, the perlite doesn't come through the gravel, so you can keep to the watering schedule. It doesn't hold moisture in any longer for me that I've noticed. but it does look a lot nicer than perlite all over the place. It's just a lot cleaner looking. And I went with black because I wanted it to look like soil. But I mean, you could get colorful. They have all kinds of different ones if you wanted to do something fun and colorful too. But that's just what I do. Now, I do a weird kind of care schedule that I've followed. I watch, I think it's Desert Plants of Avalon, and then from all the stuff I've read too, if you want them to flower and if you want them to like really thrive, a lot of them like to have kind of like a cool down period. So what I'll do is when the days start getting shorter, which for me is mid-September through mid-October, depending on, you know, how the year's going, I will take all of the cacti. The succulents are a different story, so those I go online and I research their minimum temperatures. But the cacti, all of them, I will take them down in the basement, which I got so lucky. My basement has a full sliding walkout glass door, and it's right below this cactus window right next to me. So they'll get the exact same light, but they will get a lower temperature. So in the house in the summer, on average, it's like 70 degrees because we have the air going. But I will bring them downstairs, and it's 55 lowest. Usually it's like 60, 65. So they'll get their cooling down period. But here's the trick. When you take them down or you put them in their cooling off period, you don't water them at all. So I will bring them down, like I said, between mid-September, mid-October, and I will line them all up in front of the window so they'll get their full sun still. But I will not water them until I bring them back up into the house again in mid-March or so. So they're gonna go that entire, let's see, you got maybe like 5-6 months or so that they are not gonna get any water at all. So I will be down there every few days because I treadmills down there. So, you know, on average, I don't know, maybe 5 times a week at least doing exercise or laundry. And I'll peek in. If one of them starts to look kind of like shrivelly, you can give it a little water. You don't want to soak it because it's the kiss of death if you get them cold and wet. They can do cold as long as you're keeping them dry. So that's what I do. I bring them downstairs. For that entire time period, they will be in front of the full-on sun, same sun exposure, so they're not suffering that, because if you bring them out of the sun, they'll get tall and leggy and distorted. The sun keeps them nice and compact and strong. But the trick is do not water them if you're bringing them to the lower temperatures. So yeah, that is pretty much what I do. I've done it now. This is going to be my second time bringing them down. Is it? A second or third? I can't remember, honestly. But it's worked for me. I only lost one last winter, and I lost that to rust, which was a different condition. It's like a fungal disease, and it happened on my one really big my devil's tongue barrel cactus. I named him Bad Boy. I loved him, and he got rust, so I was kind of sad about that. But none of them had trouble from the temperature drop as long as you cut out the water. I feel like I've said that like 100 times, but that's like the most important part. Don't take them into the cold and then water them. But yeah, so pretty much that's all I do. Use a moisture meter. I make sure the soil drains easily. Pretty much any step I can take to just avoid overwatering. But yeah, so that's what I do with my cacti. I hope you enjoyed seeing them. I hope I didn't like drone on too much about the do not water them if they're cold type thing, but I don't want anybody to kill their plants by following part of my advice. So anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.